Good morning, everybody. This is Shifali Chopra, your storyteller. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Franco Alfonso. Pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, Shafali. This is my privilege to be here, to be able to speak on my travel in life from Bangalore to Victoria, BC, Canada. Thank you for inviting me.
It's definitely my pleasure. You know, what is interesting in your story is from where you started and where you are today. As you said very beautifully, a boy from Bangalore and now in Victoria. You have accomplished so much. And when I spoke to you earlier, you told me there are three factors in your life that play a very important role: friends, faith, and hard work. That's really commendable. How do you feel where you are today?
Well, I believe that we don't really know how much of the runway of life that we've been given that we have used up to this current point. We have no guarantees when we go to sleep that we'll wake up the next morning. So each day is that part of the runway which we know nothing about. No matter how sure we are about ourselves, no matter how sure we want to achieve something, it's really by the grace of God, in my view, from a personal belief, that we exist. We don't know how many tomorrows we have left. So my look, taking a look at life is the emphasis really is about living today for today's. The scripture says in my faith that tomorrow has its own troubles. You don't need to worry about tomorrow. But on the other hand, practically people do worry about tomorrow and the day after. So the moral of the story for me is never to miss the journey, not about the destination, but the journey itself cannot be missed.
Very beautifully put. Today, you are actually a past manager of Canadian cricket men's national team, and that's huge. It's huge. When you started with a lot of difficulties. It wasn't easy, and you were very young when you left India. How does it feel about your achievement?
Well, again, I say, by the grace of God, I'm here. And by the grace of God, I not only have survived, but I've thrived. And everything that's been given to me is a gift, in my view, from my Creator. I also understand that we are stewards of what we've been given. We don't own anything. We come with nothing and we go with nothing. So everything is a dash in between, and how we live a life is what we have to answer to after the fact. So as far as achievements are concerned, I don't. It's good to know that people recognize you for doing something, but for me, it's God has given some talent, and if I can use it for the right purpose, then I've achieved my reason for being here. I think that's the way I look at it. I've wondered of, because I'm a student of various faiths. I'm a Christian by practice and belief, but I grew up in a very strict Muslim neighborhood. So when others would think of it as being difficult, for me, I enjoyed it because I was learning Arabic and Urdu originally. And in fact, until I moved to Canada, I used to dream in Urdu. And and Bangalore is such a place where you can actually, there's so many faiths. I admire the Jain faith. They were so gentle with even living creatures that they don't want to hurt. They used to sweep the area that before they walked, and they had a covering. Way before masks came in, they were wearing masks to make sure that they don't impale a living creature. There's beauty in so much teachings of Buddha, teachings of Hinduism, Islam. There's so much beauty in all these things. So my thing was, if people are really followers of the faith they say they follow, then we should have no trouble in the world. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and that we're seeing all the current news, and that's what we fight about generally as humankind, is the differences.
That's true. That's true, Alfonso, and I completely agree with what you said. I think the beauty, what I personally feel also, that the beauty lies in togetherness. It is embracing differences.
Yeah.
We always talk about unity and diversity. I think sometimes I feel these are just words that we use. I really wish that we meant what we said. And I think I've said this earlier. Our nation is, it's like a salad bowl nation. That is the beauty. We are all different kinds of people, and what makes us unique is that we are different and yet the same. And you said just some time back कि आप मुस्लिम neighborhood में you grew up,
हाँ,
एंड ऑफ कोर्स आपको उर्दू आती है।
जरूर
और जहाँ तक मैं आप मुझे
जरूर
आपसे बात करके पता चला कि यू नो लाइक 11 लैंग्वेजेस। ओह माय
see in
गॉड!
Bangalore, what happens in Bangalore is, for example, you grew up in an area. Like when I grew up, Urdu is something that you picked up. Then Hindi is the national language. Then Kannada is the state language. So you have to know those three. Then you know English. Then comes the thing is people around the area speak Tamil. Then you pick up Tamil. Then people speak Telugu. You pick up Telugu, and then you pick up Malayalam because in the south this and these languages are not realistically related to each other. They're quite different. A lot of people think, oh, South the from the north they generally have this thing. Oh, South Indian.
They're all
Well,
the same.
they're not the same and they're all different. And it's ancient language. Tamil is almost as ancient as Sanskrit. So very, very old, very cultured. Same with Telugu is old. I think it's a third language, if I'm not mistaken, and numbers of people that speak it in India. We speak, a lot of people speak English in India. The language of business is English, an associate national language. I think the more we know, the better off we are. And then for somebody like me that has a background in Latin, it's easier to pick up, obviously, Portuguese and then Spanish. And because of the Urdu and Arabic learnings, because you learn Alif Be Te first when you're writing, and then you do, when I attended prayers, Muslim prayers and so on and so forth, they call kalmes Islam Quran first and then kalmes, and then you end up doing namaz, you end up doing Ayatul Kursi, the more things you learn. But yet,
Wow.
I was a practicing Christian, and I still remain to this day a practicing Christian. But so we can always admire other faiths, and you can follow what one that you want to follow, but you always remain open to respecting other faiths, because by doing that, we're respecting uh, not just the faith, but the person that you are friends with. The friend could be a family member from a different faith. Again, I will go back to the time. We don't know the runway of life that we have used up already. We don't know what's ahead of us. For a lot of us, our future is actually indeed smaller than the past. For younger folks, this future is bigger than the past. So differences are such that if we don't, some people celebrate, some other people accept it. But I think it should be something that we can live with the differences, and that way we can actually get along rather than having to dislike somebody based on their religion, language, and so on. Languages all come from a very few mother languages. Sanskrit has given birth to numerous languages. Even German, for example, comes out of Sanskrit, the Indo-European language. So
Yes.
we have a culture that was the beauty of India has always been welcoming people. You had Mughals, you had Christian preachers or missionaries, Jesuit priests. You had Armenians living. You had Jewish folks that escaped persecution in Syria and Palestine 2,500 years ago, came to Kerala. There's still a town that they call, for lack of a better word, they still call it Jewtown in Cochin.
True.
The synagogue stands. It was burned down 1100, I believe. It was rebuilt. So we have a lot of history. The beauty has always been being open to everything that's around, and you let it come in. You should never be scared. If you just follow your own faith, you never be scared of somebody else. There's differences within a family. Somebody could be taller, somebody could be shorter, somebody could be one skin tone, somebody could be this, somebody could be that, could be different languages, religion, whatever it is. But we are human beings, and that's what people end up forgetting. We all suffer the same thing, we all bleed the same way, we all feel
Absolutely.
the same way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You left India in 1987. I'm
19
sorry, 1978, I think.
70s, end of 77. So I've been away for almost
Yeah.
47 years now.
Yeah.
And
That's a long time, and
yeah, yeah,
and I think you still read Urdu newspaper.
I read, I try, it used to be every day I used to read one Hindi newspaper. and then tried a little bit of Kannada and Urdu, but now it's become like I read an English newspaper, but I read at least once a week just to keep the practice of, because I get never used to get the opportunity to speak as much in these languages, uh, so I try to practice it. So it's difficult. Like Telugu, for example, I didn't have a chance to practice Telugu. People say we start speaking, they'll say Telugu bagostandi, I know it well, or they'll say Tamil varda, or Malayalam. Then Urdu में बात कर सकते हैं, हिंदी में बात कर सकते हैं. Life is indeed richer when you actually can participate, because the whole purpose of language is to be able to communicate so that
That's
other person can understand, you can understand the other person. So if
true.
I just stick to one language saying, okay, I'm only going to speak Portuguese and nothing else, then
Yeah.
I think I am the
Then
loser.
it's limited. Yeah, yeah. I understand that. But एक बात, क्योंकि आपको इतना आता है, तो आप मुझे ये बताइए कि अगर आपको गाली देनी है तो आप कौन सी भाषा में देंगे?
Oh, जरूर उर्दू में. Hands down, hands down.
वो इसका मतलब आपकी दिल की भाषा उर्दू है.
हाँ, हो सकता है, लेकिन सोचने में मैं ख्वाब तो उर्दू में, मेरा ख्वाब तो उर्दू में है पहले, लेकिन I can also say I can feel totally comfortable in Telugu, but mind you, it's not Andhra Telugu, it's Bangalore Telugu, which is a big difference.
Yeah.
But same thing. I'm totally comfortable in Telugu as well.
Yeah, that's great. And the kind of foods you enjoy, is it Indian or is it something from the
Oh,
West?
certainly Indian food, but I also like Greek and Spanish food. Some Italian, but not so much anymore. But certainly Greek food and Spanish food, Mexican or Spanish itself. But Indian food remains, my
Your
primary
soul food.
soul food. Yes, yeah,
That's lovely.
yeah. When
Uh,
you grow up in a neighborhood like I did, then biryani remains.
Biryani, yes,
And you right up.
absolutely.
So, that's.
Biryani happens to be my favorite as well. One
Yes.
of my favorite things to have is biryani.
And then growing up in Bangalore, if you're from South, you like filter coffee to a masala dosa, those things. For the longest times, like almost for 40 years, unless I left Victoria, I went to a different city in Canada, I would get those things. But now it's available in my hometown. I can't believe it, because we went, only place I could eat a masala dosa was if I went to India, and I had not been that many times. Only, I think, I've had 8 visits in 47 years.
Oh
Um,
my God.
yeah, but I keep in touch. I know what's going on, and I read quite a bit. So it's never far away from me.
Of course, well, initially, if I'm not mistaken, you were into martial arts,
Yes.
completely into martial arts. And then over a period of time, you kind of shifted towards cricket.
Yes. See, I grew up because I had to choose a sport. I was doing track and field and martial arts. So cricket was taking more time than I could afford to spend. So I played on a social basis. My school team had so many people from Roger Binney
Okay.
to Raghuram, but a whole bunch of players who played pretty high level cricket. The school team, Roger Binney played for India when he was still at St. Joseph's. So I certainly didn't make the first 11 or the second 11. I think I played the third or the fourth team just to be able to participate, but the love of the game was there. And
Well,
did
the love is still there.
oh,
We saw
absolutely.
it last night.
Yeah,
The love is still in the air.
absolutely,
For us, the
absolutely.
festivities have started right
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
So I think we have announced that this is the festive time has begun. So it
Yes,
was a huge match,
there we
and
are.
I
I've
think
20 hours awake for 20 hours because we started watching the game at 1:30 my time and haven't gone to sleep, but this is now about almost 11 o'clock my time, PM. So but I know that I'll sleep well tonight, but it's important that I wanted to watch the game, so I watched it from 1:30 onwards.
wow, great.
Yeah, in
And I
Australia
think
they call them cricket tragics.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I am, a cricket tragic. So, and I'm sure a billion other Indians are also cricket tragics. So,
They are. I think there is a lot of joy when it comes to cricket.
oh,
And of course,
absolutely.
if India and Pakistan are playing, so you know exactly what happens.
Oh,
It's not just a game
yeah,
anymore.
it's not a game. It's a very passionate affair. And then,
Yes.
of course,
We have this fantastic love and hate relationship, which comes out when they are playing cricket. So yeah, yeah, it's fun. There
yeah,
is, I think, it's like a whole family participating. It's more like a wedding, if you
yeah.
ask me.
I had one of my best friends growing up. He sent me a message. He was watching. He lives in Sydney, Australia. He's also from Bangalore, and his family had not watched a cricket game for a number of years. And they had hosted a party of a lot of folks from Bangalore who live in Sydney, Australia, watching it live today. And it's again, it brings people together. So
Yes, I think all sports do, but cricket has this magic about it.
yeah,
Somehow it
absolutely.
really does.
Uh,
Um,
Canada
you
has
know,
Canada has an interesting history with cricket because the first international game ever played in the world was not Australia versus England or India versus somebody else. It was
yeah,
Canada and the US in 1844. Isle of
my God.
Montreal is a place in Canada where they played the first international game. Canada won that game, and then the next series a couple of months later was in Central Park, Manhattan, and Canada won that as well. So we have a very long history with cricket, and it also one of the few countries where cricket is the national game. Our Prime Minister then, in 1867, Sir John A. Macdonald, declared cricket to be the national game, along with his cabinet, declared cricket to be the national game. It lasted 18 months, and then lacrosse became the national game. Lacrosse is the game that is First People's game, or the original people of Canada, their game, and that is still the national game for the summer. Winter is now about 1999. Winter officially became ice hockey became the official national game. So we do have a lot of history with cricket. In my own hometown, which is a very small city with about less than 400,000 people, cricket has been played since 1849,
Wow.
and uh, and we had two women's teams in 1891. So we certainly progressed, but now we're just coming back. We just made the T20 World Cup. We got an ODI status back after 11 years. That's what I was involved with. I was
Yeah,
manager in 2018, again 2022 and
right.
2023.
Yeah,
But these are the things we have achieved back because we had no status for 11 years. Very difficult to play a competitive cricket when you don't have ODI status. So
right.
it's not so much like India, but it's for us who are passionate about cricket. ODI status, achieving that is a major victory, but it's also it ensures that we're going to play good level cricket with associate countries for the next 4 years.
Interesting. Wow. This is so, I mean, I'm sure it's like a dream come true for
Yes,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm
We all see dreams, but as you said initially, when we were just about to have this conversation, is like hard work.
yeah.
That really played a very important role in your life. When you reached Canada, you were also, you did many odd jobs at that point of time.
No, you
Uh,
know what? I only had one job because of my martial arts background. I started working as a bouncer in a nightclub,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
not a pleasant thing because you're actually fighting
yeah.
people. And
Because I remember reading this
yeah,
that there were like 6 to 8 fights every day
yeah, and
outside the clubs.
it was a
Yeah,
little place outside Victoria, 45 minutes away, called Duncan, and it
yeah.
was a very rough town, and so lots of fights. And then because of the background, I realized that yes, but I had to fight, but I didn't like it, obviously, because it's not martial arts. You really it's street fighting more or less. But
Of course.
having grown up in the area that I grew up in Bangalore, I said, okay, it's same as that, no different, except now I had the martial arts background. But
Yeah.
I did one smart thing with that one, which I wanted to make a change. So I ended up buying the club, and
Wow.
then I did some creative financing, ended up buying the club from the previous owner and made payments and paid it off in 5 years. So that was a success story based on
It is.
devotion. And
Yeah.
they were Greek people, they're a very successful family here, and they were able to see the promise, and they bought into the vision, and they did that for me. And then I realized that that was not what I wanted to do because as much as people like alcohol and so on and so forth, here we were trying to sell as much alcohol as possible in the shortest possible time. And I
Right.
felt that I was not living based on my family values, based on my spiritual values. I was not living, it was a conflict with my faith. And
I
so,
guess we all have ethics, so maybe
yeah.
that's something. Yeah.
Basically we just I just said I wanted to move into a different life. Interestingly enough, at St. Joseph's in 8th standard, so grade 8, I learned about insurance and financial services, how dividends work, about various types of insurance. I was lucky enough to learn that because that was of interest to me. And then when I moved here, I was doing this and I was looking for something else. The opportunity came up to join the financial services profession.
Yeah, you're also a CEO of Trenton, a
Trenton.
financial service company.
Yeah, I started that about 38 years ago, and then I still run it, and it's one of the most successful firms for as an advisory firm, specializing certain products in the financial services. So my specialty happens to be critical illness insurance, which was created by my friend who's passed away now, Dr. Marius Barnard. Him and I were like a father and son team. He created the product. I had no input in that. He created the product. But what I did was I marketed and introduced it to different countries. Him and I traveled to over 100 countries, speaking about the product, influencing people, not getting paid for it. We're doing it because it was the right thing to do, is what he would say. Because what they did is it, like insurance pays people when they die. This one, he wanted to make sure, he called it insurance for the living. So somebody, for example, got a heart attack or a stroke or cancer, it paid up. In our country here, we can buy up to $3 million in critical illness insurance. And if you don't use it, 15 years later, you get every single cent back given to you. Right?
Wow.
So
You're
we have,
also president of, I think, Canadian $1 million
yeah,
Roundtable Foundation.
I used to be the president of the Canadian Million Dollar Roundtable, and I served for a long time, almost 10 years. And I just have the title of emeritus, president emeritus,
Yeah.
just to be able to advise people. But it's a not-for-profit, and we gave money, time, and effort. It basically helps grassroots charities from one coast to the other coast of Canada, and some overseas as well. So
Well, I must tell you, there is Gul watching us, and he said, "Hey guys," and of course, he's saying biryani with sheikh kebab from Broadway.
yes, yes. See,
So,
Gul and I grew up together. So it's a long time friendship that's been. We still keep in touch, and I spoke to him this morning. So it's interesting to see that we go away, but we never get far away from our friends. Because they're sometimes friends are closer than family. And incidentally, when I said earlier on, faith, friends, and hard work.
hard work. Yes.
I have to make a correction. It's faith, family slash friends, and then hard work, because family is the reason why we do what we do. And I've been blessed with two young men, for sons who they've also achieved quite a bit. My older one got into Oxford when he was 17 years old, and uh,
Wow.
and he just came home about a week ago with three separate law degrees. He's got an LLB, and then a master's in law, and then MSc. Only the English can come up with this, MSc in law and business. So it's a dual degree, And I
Wow.
realize law and business were a science, but I'm not going to argue with if they give that degree. So who's going to argue, right? So
Oh
we're all.
yeah, I was about to say, please don't bother.
Yeah. And my younger one does also. They've started not for profits on their own, and they're quite involved. So the giving back in my family has also been something that they learned that from both their mom and their dad, to give back, just like I learned from mom and dad about
Wow.
volunteering and giving back, because that makes it's soul food, right?
Wow. You're a president of Victoria District and Cricket League.
So this association was started. It's one of the oldest associations in Western Canada. We started in 1872. Even though we played cricket from 1849 or not me, but people that came before me. But
Of
was,
course.
yes, it looked pretty good for 1872, right? So for 1872 is when the association was officially formed, and and we have very interesting histories. Some of the members who went to fight in the Great First World War, Second World War, were students from St. Michael's University School in Victoria, where my boys both went to. Some of them never returned home, and they were cricketers. So each Remembrance Day on 11th of November, we remember about 60 some odd people from one school that never came home. So it's, people have paid a price, no matter what country you live in, to go and fight for freedom, so others like us can enjoy what the freedom, with the sacrifice they made. So I'm cognizant of all that. I'm cognizant that we are on property that realistically belong to the native folks, the first peoples from here. And then we are guests, and realistically, we're guests everywhere. Even our own land, we're guests because we don't own the land. Even if you're a property owner, we don't own it. End of the day, because when we pass on, it goes to somebody else. So
Absolutely.
everything is temporary. So I think the sooner we realize that, we realize that life, in fact, then we can enjoy life a little more. So the temporariness of life has to be something that has to be factored in. We don't live forever. We don't own everything forever. So it's just the cyclical things that happen. And if we sooner we come to terms with that, the happier we'll be.
Alfonso, your story is so inspiring. I can't say you started with nothing,
Yeah,
but you started at a very different level, and you are where you are today. Sheer hard work,
yeah,
of course, dedication, passion, everything put together. And it's not easy. As I always say, that in a journey, there are many a times we will fall down, but the whole idea is not in never failing or falling.
yeah.
The thing is getting up
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
walking
my mother,
ahead.
who was my grandmother, a strong woman of faith who believed in a living God, used to say that falling down is not a sin, but
Yeah,
failing to get up is. So if
that's true.
falling down is not a sin, if you it only becomes a sin if you fail to get up. So I always remember that. And so yes, you have so many challenges in life, but you have to face. Yeah, sometimes there's victory, sometimes there's defeat, but that is part of life. But our attitude really is what makes things uh, you know, maybe for lack of a better word, digestible or can handle it. The realistic thing for us is to be able to look at a bigger picture. Not everything is going to work our way. There'll
Yeah,
be
true.
disappointments, there'll be various faults, but how we live a life
Absolutely.
dictated by the attitude that we have. And
Yeah.
for me, when I moved, very rarely do you see a teenager moving from India, but I was pretty focused on being able to do things on my own without having to ask for my parents' help or whatever. So when I moved, I didn't know anybody in Canada. So then you have to you have to not just survive, but then you figure out how to thrive. So that is the
Absolutely.
stuff that not everybody can do. But I knowing what I did and what I know now, I would say I was crazy to do it. Not too many people would do, but rather be mad and glad than be sane and sad. So I certainly did that. He took that approach, and I was talking to you yesterday about Kabir's Doha.
Dohas.
जब कल करना सो आज कर ले जो आज करना सो अब कर ले. So I said, okay, so this is what if I decide that this is the right path, and I gotta give it all my all. There's no way going halfway, and it did. It was a lot of hard work, and there's not that many people who were of my background living locally in Victoria. It was a pretty Caucasian town, and things have changed. There's a number of Indian restaurants, lot of young students, a lot of people who are established, some really wealthy people who are Indian. So things have changed. The good thing about Canada is everybody that wanted to work hard, wanted to make a life, was successful, and being able to live. And the local Canadians, they welcome people in, generous people. They welcomed all of us in. And now, almost 47 years later, I look back and I'm open to other people that come from Syria, from India, anywhere. I can see, the journey I had. and who am I to oppose that because they need the same opportunity that I had? And so,
Wow.
compassion, having passion is great, but passion without compassion is incomplete. It's like an empty vessel with no noise. The compassion also has to come. Live and let live. Let the folks that
True.
are coming in also have an opportunity, because people work really hard because they had nothing or they have nothing. They do work hard. The work ethic cannot be replaced. People that get a little soft, after being here for a number of years, their drive is not, most of the times, not there compared to ones that are brand new, who understand the opportunity that Canada presents, and the freedom that can come from working hard.
Alfonso, listening to your story, I just know one thing, that empathy is very important. And when you put yourself in other people's shoes, I think life becomes easy. The things that we personally like, if we start also understanding the similar kind of attitude or behavior, uh, or the way we speak, the way we like for ourselves, if we do the same thing to others, life is so beautiful. If we
Absolutely.
like people to speak to us nicely or sweetly or in a certain fashion,
Yeah.
similarly, if we do the same, I think that's respect. And that's what more matters more than love, if you ask me. Respect is like the most important thing in any relationship, for that matter of fact.
Being kind actually takes less effort than
Yeah.
being angry, because by being angry or being disappointed, we are causing more toxins in our body to hurt us,
Yes,
rather, you know
absolutely.
if somebody's wronged, my first thought would be, oh, if you have to say something or do something. No, you don't have to. That's human nature. But on the other hand, you brush it off and move on to the next, because um, that person's idea in their head about you is not who you are. So
Absolutely.
never take these things at face value, because that's their opinion of you. Doesn't mean that's a fact, right? So
Right.
yeah, those are the things to keep in mind. If you're grounded and your core is based on values, then what others say or do or make fun of you or laugh at you, all those things don't count. In a human way, yes, you don't. But if you're on the right path, you stick to it. You don't worry about what anybody else says.
Wow, that's interesting. And I think these are the messages that the youngsters must listen to. And this is something, it's going to hold good forever.
Yeah.
Because the words of kindness and kindness itself is something, it's timeless.
Yeah.
And kindness actually does not cost anything.
No thing.
I would like our viewers to know, uh, now, the upcoming projects on your way, the dreams that you have, and which will get unfolded in a matter of time.
Absolutely. I think we always we always have to have a dream of achieving the next thing that we want to do. The trick is to be able to keep doing things. A lot of people that are retired or on the verge of retirement um, get bored, and some people pass on because they've worked in a disciplined manner, and suddenly they don't have the discipline anymore. They can't feel. So for me, it's like, I'm going to. I'm 64 years old now, and at 65, I'm going back to university, and
Wow,
work on a doctoral program. That's been a dream. So I said, okay, that's what I want to do. And so you've got to create dreams. You've got to be able to live that dream, not for someday, but you have a concrete picture in your mind. You vision it, and yes, that can be done. God willing, I'll be around to be able to finish it. So I have no
wow,
control time factor, but I certainly have control over the effort and the vision and the wanting to do it, the desire to do it.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So दोस्तों, I think this is a great thing for all of us to learn, कि देखो, सीखने की कोई उम्र नहीं होती,
Uh,
and age is just a number.
uh,
And dreams do come true only when you work towards it. सिर्फ बात करने से और सोचने के से कि ये मेरे सपने हैं, पूरे नहीं होते। इसके पीछे लगना पड़ता है, पढ़ना पड़ता है, बहुत सारी रातों को ना सोकर, जाग कर उन पे काम करना पड़ता है। And I personally feel dreams are not what you see only when you are sleeping, but
yeah.
dreams are actually the ones which you see when you are up and above, and then you make it happen. I think the whole idea is to make it happen. That's important. What do
There's
you
a,
say?
yeah, I think, that reminds me, like, there's a Farsi prophet that years ago said in Persian, like, "Zehgawara tagur dawnish biju," which means from the cradle to the grave, one must not stop learning. So
Wow.
we have that. The day we stop learning, we die. And the learning can be not from just a job. Learning can be from speaking and interacting with a human being that is a fellow human being, and the desire to be able to expand the horizon on spiritual matters, maybe political matters, maybe history, geography, maybe sciences. All these things. There, nothing is less. Music, arts. All these are co-equal things that make us who we are. Nothing. One discipline is not the end of a person's life. You can be multifaceted people. You have young kids who will play sports, but in the evening go up to a concert and play the violin, play the piano, play the guitar. So when we pay attention to varied interests, what happens is if we ever get bored with one thing, we can do something else. We're never going to be depressed and sitting there, oh, this didn't work out. You're able to move with things. So similar to that is languages. If you learn one more language, the brain waves, the sparks that fly to be able to connect, you can comprehend things in life that are related to comprehension of languages. Everything helps. And the day we normally sit idle, those are the days. I don't mean you can still relax, but you have to be able to keep your brain engaged, your body engaged. Walking, running, whatever the exercise people do, it's up to them. But you can do that. But similarly, the mind cannot be ignored. You can't let it go to waste. It's too powerful a thing
Yeah.
to be wasted.
Very well said. Alfonso, these days I see many a children getting depressed, many people getting depressed. The thing is, it's not that they don't have anything to do, they're overburdened by their own thought.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's great to be connected like this, the way we are speaking, and whether it's WhatsApp or Facebook or Insta or whatever. But I personally feel there has to be a limitation to it. One should limit their times onto these things, because whatever said and done, the personal connect is missing. And when the personal connect or the human connect gets is not there that much, obviously you're isolated. And we do not realize these are the things that eventually do cause depression, because there are a lot of people I hear saying that, oh, even when I'm with people I feel very lonely. It's because they are not being themselves, they're not being authentic. It's
Yeah.
very important for people to be authentic, because when you're not authentic and you're following a dream of somebody else, it's not your dream. It's never going to give you happiness. Today, Alfonso is with us, talking to us. He's happy about his achievements and whatever he's done. It's because it is his passion. He was driven by his own dream. That's important. And I think there is a great learning from Alfonso. Alfonso, any last few words that you would like to share with our viewers before we end the session?
Yeah, I think our character is made up of all these gifts that we've been given. I think the creator that made us, in my case, it's a belief in a living God, and the creator that created me didn't create me or didn't create everybody else that is listening to this program to fail. My creator created me to succeed. Not I'm not succeeding becoming a billionaire, but what it is successful to succeed means to have a meaningful life, to have a meaningful work ethic, to contribute to fellow human beings, learn, keep learning, like I said, cradle to grave, and then being happy and content with what you have. It's one of those things that people always have this, oh, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. There's no wishing for things that we don't have. Rather, we can work towards something that we want to have, but the main purpose is to be able to enjoy and just realizing that it's a temporary thing in life. Nothing is permanent. So if we can realize that permanency is unobtainable for either for life or for things that we have. They're just things that can be replaced, but we cannot be replaced because we have a finite amount of time. And for us, the challenge is to find out, what am I going to do with the time between now and when I'm called home? That's the question.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Alfonso, for
Thank
being
you.
here with us, making this conversation. And I think this is really, it is really an interesting conversation for people to know how they can improve on their own journeys, because there were so many lessons to be taken away from what you just said. So, Zindagi na mile dobara.
हाँ
Okay,
जरूर.
I'm not talking about the film, but I'm talking about this Zindagi genuinely mile na dobara.
हाँ
So I
बिल्कुल.
think
हाँ.
live it to the
हाँ.
hilt, but
Yes.
that does not mean going and drinking and getting silly. No, it means living it to improve on your own self consciously every day, because time is short, because we don't know how long are we going to be here. But whatever you do, make sure you create an impact. See, I always tell people, it's not only that you have to be a saver, or you have to like be a superman to save the world, but
Mhm.
yes, you as a human being, you as a superhuman being, you can impact different people's lives, and that matters. That
There's a
matters.
lady, there's a public speaker. I forget her name now. She came up with this tagline that said, "When you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny." So
Wow.
we need to find our own purpose. I think that's what it is. When we find our purpose, we'll find everything that goes with it. So
Very well said, Alfonso. And
thank
my
you.
purpose is to get such beautiful stories to
Thank
people and inspire them. And thank you once again. Thank
you.
you, everybody, for watching us right now, and those who haven't been with us right now can watch us later. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye for now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.